All right, everyone. Welcome to the Father's Day edition, episode 9, SportsBook Sports, all things sports betting. I'm your host, Connor, with my boy here, GA.
What's up? Happy Sunday, everyone.
Yes, sir. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yeah.
We're doing a special live stream. We got in this morning on this Father's Day, looking to put together our sports picks for today, discuss a couple of the series going on. We got the Western Conference Finals starting today.
Yep.
And then we got a crucial Game 7 in the Sixers-Hawks series, which is big for my boy GA here.
I was hoping we were going to close it out last game, but it didn't happen, so we got another shot at it tonight.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. They were down, or they were up 3-2, had an opportunity to close it out in Atlanta.
Yep.
Now got to go back to Philly, which is a tough task.
Yeah, those fans are tough.
But I mean, Hawks have shown some perseverance in this series. Down 20 twice.
Yep.
Come back to win the game.
Yep.
We've
talked about it a couple times here. It's just like I just think with their offense and their scoring ability, it's just to me they just never feel out of it.
Yeah. The sad part is like.
They should be out of it.
Yeah, considering how good of a scoring team they are, they put together these ugly droughts, and it seems to be like when Trae Young sits out for those couple minutes. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but Nate McMillan sticks to his rotation.
Yep.
Trae Young always comes out with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then he comes back in with 9 to 10 minutes left, and then finishes out the half and finishes out the game.
Yep.
He's gonna play. I think he's gonna play the whole game today.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a necessity.
Yeah, it's Game 7.
Yeah, you can't, because last game they were up. They started out hot.
Yep.
They take him out, and Philly goes on a run to get back into the game. Tonight, if they're able to do that and then just stretch that lead out, for the Sixers, they're a decent scoring team, but they go through droughts as well.
Yeah.
And if the Hawks can get a lead in, it's going to be tough for the Sixers to make it back.
Yeah. Yeah, just because to your point, I don't think they're taking their foot off the gas tonight. I think that if they get a lead, maybe in the first half they sit Trae Young a little bit, but definitely the second half.
I think
they're going to try to close it out.
If Nate McMillan learned anything from that Nets game last night, I think he should, because Steve Nash, played Harden, the Brown guy, and Durant for the whole game.
Yeah.
And I think towards the end you saw that fatigue set in.
Especially going to overtime.
Yeah, especially going into OT. And truthfully, I don't think he used his timeouts well enough. But that's a whole nother point. And when you look at this Sixers series in this game, I think you're 100% right. First half, play your rotation the way it is. Continue that mojo that you have going. But then look to, in the second half, maybe make some adjustments. I think those guys need to play the whole half, especially Trae Young. I think the rest of the guys they can do without.
Yep.
But Trae Young needs to be in there as the primary ball handler to make plays for everyone.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look, too. Do we know if was it Bogdanovich, if he's playing tonight? Because I know he got hurt towards the end of the last game. I think it was his knee, if I remember correctly. And he ended up sitting out. Right now, ESPN has him as day-to-day. Trae Young day-to-day, Embiid day-to-day. So I expect all those guys to play. He's definitely their best shooter, but they have a ton of offensive weapons. So.
Yeah, I think he sat out the rest of the last game, so I assume he's going to come back and play. I think he did that just to be safe.
Yeah, because they knew that if they didn't win this game, they still had Game 7.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't want to test the waters with that, but him being out is crucial. I mean, they need him to be there, especially without DeAndre Hunter there.
Yep. Right, because then if Hunter's out because he's injured, Trae Young sits for a little bit, and Bogdanovich, if he's out too for injury tonight, then you start. Those are 3 good scorers.
Yep.
And, John Collins, Capella aren't really the scorers that these guys are. Can't make their own shots. They're dependent on other people on their team. So, you're really relying on your 4th, 5th, 6th option when it comes to shooters.
Exactly. And before, sorry to cut you up, but before I feel like we dive into that game even deeper, because there's a lot riding on that, especially with what you have in place, let's go right into the game one of the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
That game tips off earlier today. It was funny, as I told you before, I was looking at the games this morning. I didn't even realize this series was getting started.
I know.
Tough series. We actually have a little bit of a typo on there. It says the Utah Jazz versus the Suns.
That's the Clippers, yeah.
We can adjust that, right? But the Clippers, man, they balled out Terrence Mann in that game 6. I don't know if you watched that game at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he was balling. He's having a come out right there. And the Clippers might have found something with him.
Yeah, and I think it was funny, too, because like we were talking in our last episode, we were saying that Kawhi's hurt. So who's going to step up and take on these points? Is it going to be Luke Kennard? Like, who's it going to be?
Yep.
And it turns out it's Terrence Mann, and it turns out he's the man. Like, he's nice.
He
like,
balled the fuck out.
The first game without Leonard, I think that was game 5, maybe, if I remember correctly. I'm blanking on the games. He played okay, but I think he was getting his up. But then the last game, to close out the series with Paul George, he played great.
Yeah, because they saw what Paul George was able to do, which a lot of people forget. I mean, he's been lackluster when it comes to playoff. They have that whole thing going on with him calling him playoff P, where he flukes in the playoffs. But before that injury occurred, man, people don't realize he was a high-level guy. Like, he was top 5 in the league at that point, talent-wise.
Yeah.
And he was able to prove that in Game 5, put up close to 40. Yep. And then Game 6, I think the Jazz came out and played a little bit more of a defensive approach tailored towards stopping him. Yep. And that's what opened up Terrence Mann's.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Markieff Morris has played good.
Markieff Morris. Is it Markieff or is it Marcus?
Might be Marcus.
Yeah, I think it's Marcus. Yeah. But Reggie Jackson played phenomenal in that game 6. Yeah. And that's what they needed. They needed... You know what you're going to get out of your superstars. Maybe they have an off night, but they're still going to get you 25 to 30. But the nights that they have an off night, you need your second, third, fourth option to pick up the slack a little bit. Yeah. And unfortunately for the Jazz, that's just that didn't happen at all. Like, those guys just couldn't score the ball. Yeah. Except for Donovan Mitchell. Yep. Rudy Gobert looked like a liability out there. I see them making some moves in the offseason to make, like, D Wade's is a part owner over there?
He's like a minority owner now.
Yeah, so I feel like he's gonna have a little bit more say when it comes to some decisions, and I feel like he's gonna try to help. They obviously want to keep Donovan Mitchell there, young superstar for the next 5 to 10 years. They need to make him happy before he decides to go elsewhere. You know?
Yeah, and like my whole thing too with like the Rudy Gobert is like I'm never a fan of like these centers really at this point in the NBA, especially these defensive guys who get you 20 rebounds and 3 blocks, but they're just no help on offense. Yeah. Because like even if you look at it like he's a defensive guy, this and that and the other thing, they scored 130 points. Yeah. So who are you really defending?
You're not defending. Stopping. Well, that's the thing is there's not like. If the Jazz were to get to the finals and then they were to play the Sixers, which is the one team.
That's the one team because they're also lagging behind and they're all in on the center, Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. But there's very few teams now who are, like, is Rudy Gobert really going to stop Anthony Davis?
Fuck no.
Yeah, so it's like, there's big men who are good. Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns, if he ever makes it to the playoffs. Like, there's guys who just... There's a very small pool of people where a defensive center, a lockdown defensive center, is really going to help you. Yeah,
and these offensive wings that have really started to dominate the game. It's always, for the last 10 years, 20 years, it's been a guard-oriented, wing-oriented league where a bulk of the scoring comes from that position. Yeah. And those dudes are so athletic. What the fuck's Rudy Gobert going to do? He might block you 2 or 3 times when you come into the lane, but the rest of the time, those dudes are just going to dunk on your head. Yep. That's like what's crazy about the league so far.
Yeah, I mean, Reggie Jackson played good. Even Pat Beverly played okay. He was 3 for 4 from 3. So, I mean, that's huge, I think, for the Nets or the Clippers is just getting the ball out of their superstars' hands a little bit, letting the rest of the team operate a little bit instead of it just being on, give the ball to Leonard, give the ball to Paul George, everyone stand back and wait.
Yeah, and that's what I don't like, to your point right there. just to like make a segue off of that,
Yeah.
is playoff basketball has become way too much pick and roll.
Yeah.
Like that's it's not even, it's basketball because seeing what like Trae Young can do off the pick and roll and what some of these guys can do.
Yeah.
But that's why the Warriors were so good at that one. Those couple years they won the championship because they moved the ball. Their scores were moving without the ball.
Yeah.
And we're getting wide open threes, and that's so difficult to guard.
Yes. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's not one team left, I think, besides like the Sixers that play like a set offense system. You know what I mean? The rest of them come down and just play iso ball.
The Suns maybe.
The Suns a little bit too. Definitely. They at least like have playmakers that come off the pick and roll.
And with Chris Paul, we'll see without Chris Paul what it's like. Because,
which is tough.
Yeah, because he's the master general out there, just controlling the floor.
Yeah, and he makes plays for others.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm curious about, because again, I know you're more into the basketball stuff than I am, is the reason why that they pick and roll so much is to just get the matchup they want offensively.
Yeah.
Like, they'll screen 3 or 4 times to get your best offensive player on their worst defensive player.
Definitely.
And then you attack them one-on-one.
Yep.
So, like, to me, that's what's kind of tough, too. It's like it's not really – it's less about the team, like my team versus your team. It's more about my offensive player against your worst defensive player. And we're just going to do everything we can to not let you switch to our worst defensive player.
Yeah, and that sets up the rest of the offensive guys it puts them in a terrible position.
Yeah.
Like I saw yesterday after this Nets game, like dudes were like burning Joe Harris's jersey and shit.
Yeah.
And if you watch that game, how do you expect Joe Harris to like make some of the shots he does? Because he just gets thrown in a terrible position. James Harden and KD come down, put together a pick and roll 9 out of 10 times, and then Joe Harris just gets like a sporadic wide open 3 that he's not even like.
The only reason he's getting the ball is because whatever KD and Harden were doing wasn't working.
Exactly.
And there's 4 seconds left on the shot clock, and
then it's a buzzer beater.
Yeah, here you go.
That's what I mean. It's like a quick ass 3 that he's got to make. Like Joe Harris, like they needed to run some offensive plays for him to get a couple shots, and that takes the load off KD and James Harden.
Yep.
But that's where I think, Steve Nash has some improvement from a coaching standpoint. But I see that a lot. And now that you say it, the Suns have that.
Pretty good team.
Yeah. If you look at we were talking about it on the one episode. If you look at their balance of shooting.
Oh, yeah. Like shot-wise and point-wise.
You got Crowder. You got Mikal Bridges. You got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton. Those guys all had.
They're all getting 10 to 15
10 to 20 shots a game.
20 points a game.
And that's the balance you need, especially when it comes to playoff basketball.
Yeah.
Because you're putting the odds against you. Like KD, what did KD go last night?
Someone's gonna get hurt, and someone's just gonna have a bad game. KD went 17 of 36 from the field, 4 of 11 from 3, 48 points.
I know you want the ball in his hands all the time, but you take four of those shots away, and you give those to Joe Harris or someone else that's wide open in the right position. It's gonna balance it out a little bit better.
When I was watching the game last night, I was just getting confused. I wasn't sure. I turned it on like after the first quarter, so I wasn't sure if I missed something or if they said something in the beginning. But like, where's Jeff Green? I don't know what was like a star. Was it 2 games ago?
Yeah,
him and KD were the only people that were scoring. He had 13 minutes, 1 rebound, 1 assist.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with him.
Shots.
But when he got in the game,
it didn't look right either.
He didn't look healthy.
Yeah.
He was limping. He was I don't know, it just didn't seem right with him, and I feel like that's why he didn't play a ton, because I think there was a little injury lingering from maybe a previous game or something like that. Because I agree. I mean, the dude went off for 29 or something like that. The game KD had 49.
Yeah.
And I think that was just partly due to the fact he had some sort of injury.
He was 7 of 8 from 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's why I like the Hawks bet, just because for them to win the East, because like I was saying at the time, it's just you're a couple injuries, you're a couple bad games away at this point. So you just want to take the most value. I mean, I think the Nets were like like minus money to win the playoffs or win the East. Like, you just never know with these teams, especially when it comes so late in the season. You're into the last 4 teams, the last 2 games, the conference semifinals. People can just have off nights. People can get hurt. There's a million different things that could happen.
Yeah.
So, just try to look for your value, try to find some good odds. And you're taking a shot at this point. It's different when you're going in and game out. You can try to game plan a little bit, see what the matchups are, make a more informed decision. The Hawks bet that I have going for the Eastern Conference was really just like it could have been any team. It's not. I like the Hawks. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at that point it could have been the Knicks. Maybe
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have taken them because of their offensive struggles.
Yeah.
But it just could have been any of these other teams just because
of the value, like you said.
And I think this late in the season. I mean, they played 7 people, the Nets, last night, and 2 of them had less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, but that's because they were going all in on that game. And I think, excuse me, to that point though, that's where like Vegas does a good job, just like insuring themselves in a sense. Like they bought insurance on themselves because hands down, the Nets put together their whole team, Kyrie, James Harden, KD, healthy. They don't lose the East.
No.
And they should be a minus 150 favorite to win the East.
Yep.
But that's banking on everything going right.
Yep.
And I think they knew Vegas had an idea that wasn't going to happen because they've seen the lingering injuries throughout the year.
Yeah.
So that sort of just like swayed away from where the money was going because I think a lot of people were betting on the Nets to win the East.
Yeah, I think so too.
But back to this Clippers-Suns series, I think, like, as you mentioned, the Suns put together such a good offensive scheme when they go out on the court because they have a bunch of guys, like even Devin Booker as their superstar. Mm-hmm. He's not a volume shooter. Like he'll put up shots.
He can be, but he does.
But if you've been watching him in the playoffs, he's looking to play make.
Yeah, he's trying to make everyone else score first.
Makes the right play.
Yeah,
that's what I love about him, and he's grown over these years because when he first got in the league, he was just a chucker.
Shoot. Yeah.
But that's to your point. Like they play balanced offense, and I think that puts them in a better position to maybe make a run to the finals. And if they do it this year, it's
wide open.
Yeah, they're lit.
I mean, right now, if I'm the Suns, I'm like, this is the championship for us.
Yeah,
going against the Clippers, especially without Leonard, it's like, okay, we should win the series.
Yep.
And then we should keep it moving. I mean, the Bucks. I mean, now in the East too, both series are going along. Both series 1-7. The Suns, I think, swept, so they were done. Almost a week ago. At this point, it feels like. So they got plenty of rest, plenty of health. We'll see what happens with Chris Paul with the COVID-19 protocols and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm still riding with the Clippers.
Yeah.
Because I've had them since the beginning. I told you the West and the championship for them. Definitely a little bit tougher without their main guy there, but right now they're plus 460 to win the chip. So
that's down from plus 600. I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Yep. And right now there's a crazy bet that I was actually looking at last night, and it's not something I would put in, but I like what the value is, and it was the Clippers to beat the Sixers in the championship.
Okay.
And that's it's an exact result bet, so they both have to get there, and then the Clippers have to win. But it was plus 2,200.
Okay.
And I think the value's there because essentially all you're betting on really is, I think the guarantee is if whoever wins the West this year, I think wins it.
Right.
So all the Clippers have to do is you're betting on winning this series.
Right.
Right.
I mean, now I guess it's still a little tough because the Sixers have to win tonight. Then the Sixers have to beat the Bucks, which they probably should if Embiid's healthy.
Yeah. Which is another scary thing with him. He has a right, minorly torn meniscus, but one bad jump or one bad landing.
Yeah, he lands on someone's foot or something like that. You never know.
Even just planning the wrong way. He's a fucking 7'2".
Right, just on a takeoff, when he's
300-pound guy. He just does one little crossover and plants the wrong way. That shit's gonna tear right on him.
Yep.
Unfortunately, but.
Yeah, so again, let's just wrap this one up. So again, the Clippers at the Suns, 3:30 today on ABC. It's the first game of the series.
Yep.
The Suns are -4. The over-under's 221. Everything that we put together is by FanDuel, so we got all our lines from FanDuel today.
Yep.
And I mean, we've talked about this game pretty good amount. We're going to give our picks out in a little bit.
Yep.
But we just started talking about Embiid, so let's switch over to that game.
Yeah.
So we got Philly and Atlanta. This is Game 7 tonight. This is 8 o'clock on TNT. 76ers are -7, which has been about what they've been all series long, 7, 8 points, somewhere in that range. The over-under's 216.5. And, yeah, I mean, like we've said, I have the Hawks to win the East. So, I mean, I'm hoping they win this one, and then I think they got a pretty good matchup against the Bucks.
Yeah.
Sixers, you know, I can't really get a handle on them. Like, I don't get what goes on with them late in the games. I mean, they totally collapse. I don't get what goes on with Ben Simmons and just not being able to shoot the basketball.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, like
from a shooting standpoint.
Yeah. But like even from a shooting standpoint, so then like how good can you be at basketball if you can't shoot the basketball?
I mean, he does a lot of other things great on the court.
Yeah.
Rebounds the ball, plays great defense. He can fucking score in the open court like a lot. Not like a lot of other people can.
He's
the way he
athletic
gets
enough.
to the rim,
Yep.
it's tough to guard, especially because when he gets downhill, if he has a guard on him, he's quick enough to get past the guard and strong enough to finish over him. But then when he has a big man on him, he just gets right by him.
Yeah.
So he's like impossible to guard
Tough
in the open
matchup.
court. But that doesn't fit their style. Like, they're not pushing the ball all the time like that.
Right,
you
with
know?
Embiid, you're running those half-court sets. You're trying to get
slow
something to him.
the
it
game down. Yeah,
You're trying to play defense and just high-percentage shots.
exactly. I just think this I mean, we'll get into our picks a little bit later. I think the 7's a little too much, especially for a Game 7. That over-under dropped 8 points, too. Is at 224 the last 6 games of the series, and now it's down to 216. I think that has a little bit to do with it being a Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that tells a lot about what Vegas thinks. I like the under. That's not going to be my play for the game.
Yeah.
Because I could see the Hawks coming out and the Sixers coming out and just playing a great offensive game.
Yep.
But the player prop parlay I have put together actually goes against that ideology.
Yeah.
I have a lot.
Want to jump into our picks because I like your player prop.
I'm with it.
We kind of talked about this series enough.
Yeah, it's getting to the Game 7. I mean, I think we've given enough of our takes on it.
We've talked about it three times now at this
exactly,
point.
And it's gone so many different ways. Like, it should have been a 4-1 76ers sweep, essentially.
Yep.
After the Hawks won that first game, it should have been 4-1 series over. But now we're going into the Game 7. It's just crazy how this has played out. Great fucking entertainment, I'll tell you that.
It's been an incredible playoffs just all around, West Coast, East Coast.
Yeah.
These matchups have been great. Even if some of the games didn't go, or if some of the series didn't go 7, they were great games to begin with. There hasn't been too many just lopsided, crazy 20-point, 30-point wins. So for tonight, we got the Hawks. We're both taking the Hawks +7.
Yep.
I think we both agree it's just Game 7. At this point, 7 points is a lot. You're talking about 3-4 baskets there.
Yep.
Then you have a player prop for this game. So you have Herter, Collins, and Simmons.
Yep.
All to score under 10.5 points.
Yep.
So you're just expecting...
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yep. And we talked about Ben Simmons and his offensive struggles earlier.
Yeah. The only thing I'm scared about with that is if they start doing the hack of Simmons at the end and he starts making some free throws.
He ain't making free throws.
I just think what's going to happen tonight with that over-under being 216, I think it's going to be defensive oriented.
Yeah.
Sixers are going to look to slow the ball down. They're going to play defense on the Hawks to another level that they have in this series. And that's why Herter and Collins are the two on there.
Yeah.
I would recommend if you don't like the player prop parlay, I'm only putting half a unit on that. It'll win me like fucking $1,400 of a $50 bet.
Yeah.
But I see value in Collins.
Yeah.
Under 10.5 because his alone's +400.
Okay.
So if you guys are gonna do that for the viewers out there, if you were just gonna take that bet, I would bet a single unit on it. He's not an offensive guy.
No.
He gets enough shots, but he doesn't make shots.
Yeah.
So I think tonight he doesn't come out and play to the best of his ability scoring wise. And the same with Herter. I don't think I love him. He's an Albany guy, as we've mentioned in the past.
He reminds me a little bit of like the Joe Harris role.
Yep.
Where it's like kind of like we're gonna run our offense, but if it breaks down, be open, and we're gonna get you the ball
just
with
be
2 or
ready
3
to
seconds
shoot.
left.
Yeah, just be ready to shoot.
It's not gonna be a good pass. It's gonna be kind of weird time.
They're gonna put you in the worst position.
Yeah,
you're gonna get a shot one every 8 possessions.
Yeah.
We expect you to go down and play
no rhythm,
play crazy amounts of defense.
Yeah.
And then when the play breaks down, there's 2 seconds on the shot clock. Be ready to heave up a 30-footer.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he reminds me of that with that type of role that he kind of has with the Hawks right now.
yeah, and that's what that really pissed me off when I saw that shit about Joe Harris, because he plays phenomenal defense.
Yep.
At least
For who he is.
I was gonna say he doesn't. It might not be the best outcome sometimes because he gets scored on. Yeah. But he works hard.
He's not going to be all defensive team anytime soon.
No.
But for who he is, he plays good defense.
Yep, plays good team defense too. Like he's the guy that
smart guy.
Smart, exactly. Yeah. Basketball IQ's on another level. But then you try to throw him in an offensive position where he is not even really comfortable hitting these tough ass threes. If you give him a wide open 3, I mean, I would take that
as good as anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you can get him a wide open shot at the end of the game,
him on time.
Then I would live with that.
Yeah.
But
and Herder's the same way. I mean, Herder can score with anyone. It's just a matter of the situations that he's getting himself into because of the way the team's playing. So again, Herder, Colin Simmons. I don't think we haven't said it. So under 10.5 points is plus 2,824.
Yep, plus 2,800.
2,800. So again, a $50 bet gets you $1,400.
Yep.
If those guys all stay under 10.
Let's go.
And then to the late game, we're opposites on this. So in the Phoenix game, or the early game, the Phoenix game, 3 o'clock on ABC, I'm taking the Suns -4. You're taking the Clippers +4.
Yep.
And to your point, like you said, you've been riding the Clippers. You have them to win it.
Yep.
They've been good the last couple games. They kind of stumbled a little bit in the Dallas series, but then stumbled a little less in the Jazz series.
Yep.
And now hopefully it's all coming together for them. No Leonard's tough, but then again, no Chris Paul for the Suns. So it's going to be good. I mean, I just think, like you're saying, I think Phoenix just has a better overall team. I think Ayton's going to be a problem for them. And I think that without Chris Paul there, I think Booker's still going to kind of figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, this to have defense on my pick, to give you a little analysis on why I'm picking it, it's similar to what I said last episode as far as I'm so uncomfortable with it being +4 without Kawhi Leonard, because I'm straight up looking at it. I think the Suns should dominate it, but also without Chris Paul, that's a huge loss.
Oh yeah.
But I think the 4 is just it just doesn't make sense to me, because I think even without Chris Paul, this should be the Suns should dominate. They pretty much win every single matchup out there, besides maybe whoever you would consider matching up Paul George with.
Yeah, Devin Booker probably.
Yeah, and that one's like even.
Yeah,
if you match him up with that.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I just don't think the 4. I hate the Clippers so much +4 that I'm taking them. Yeah, and that's how I feel about it. I would even sprinkle a little bit money line if you're interested, but the +4 is just enough for me to take the bet.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to look too, because I feel like, and maybe it's not the case, but I feel like if you take Ayton out of the equation, I feel like the Suns are a lot smaller than the Clippers.
Yeah,
and I could be wrong with that, but with Morris and Paul George,
they're probably evenly matched up. Like who do the Clippers start at center? I was trying to think about that. Like Zubac, I know plays a little bit.
I think they start Morris at center.
Really? They go that small?
I think so. I could be wrong, because I know Zubac comes in off the bench. Yeah. Yeah, I guess Batum maybe. Batum, Morris, Jackson, George, and Mann is who they started last year.
Jesus. That's small.
So it's small. Yeah, it's small ball versus small ball.
Yeah, and then DeAndre Ayton. I mean, Ayton's different. He's like, we were talking about Rudy Gobert before. Ayton's different because he can put the ball in the hoop, but he's also 7'1". You know?
Yeah, I didn't realize that Marcus Morris was only 6'8". I thought he was a little bit bigger.
Nah, that's definitely a small lineup. They're going to be throwing Zubac in there, and that might be a deciding factor in this series, is just not having anyone to really match up with Ayton.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, maybe look at a little player prop for Zubac. Maybe try to see, because if he's going to be getting more minutes. I mean, he had 8 minutes last game or 6 minutes last game. He barely plays, but you're going to need someone to guard up Ayton. Otherwise, Ayton's just going to kill you.
Yeah, unless they plan on just trying to run them out the floor, which has been the Clippers' forte. Like they get up and down.
Yeah,
because they don't. It's weird with them when you watch them play. They're not like a running gun type team, but they play fast pace.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They move the ball. They get the ball around quick. They get it up the floor quick. But they're not like we're gonna shoot the ball within the first 6 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah, like but there's not still people running up the court and someone shooting a three.
Exactly,
already.
and then they're running back.
Yeah,
they get the ball up the court quick, but they do normally shoot it within 10 to 14 seconds.
I'd say the first half of the shot clock.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but it's a good shot normally, and
it's interesting.
Good flow.
Like, to your point, like I don't know what you would exactly call it. It's an interesting style of play.
Just a high
tempo.
pace, high tempo. Like they play fast. That's what they do. They're not a running gun.
Yeah,
but they play fast.
Which I feel like that's okay for the Suns. I feel like the Suns are okay with that type of style because they have scores.
Oh yeah,
just as much as any other team.
Might feed into them a little bit more.
Yeah, because like I was trying to think about it too. Like I keep saying like I love the Hawks scores. And I looked at the Suns again. I was like, the Suns might have better scores, shooting wise, than with Booker, Chris Paul if he's healthy.
No, the Hawks definitely have better. Like I think they have better shooters, but they don't play a good offensive style. Like the Suns. Maybe it's even though when you add Jay Crowder in there because he's a 3-and-D guy.
Bridges too,
but Mikal Bridges isn't like a 3-point shooter. He's never been known as that. But when you play in a good offense and you're in the flow, anyone can be a shooter.
Yeah, you're just getting good shots.
Exactly.
You're not highly contested shots where like you're saying Bridges, he might take 2 steps in from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
but like last game he shot 6 of 11 from the field.
Yep.
So you're shooting
getting easy dunks.
Yeah.
And if he's hitting, I mean, dudes in the NBA, if you have a wide open 3, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the NBA that can make it at a decent percentage, especially when you're wide open. You can't just leave dudes just standing on the 3-point line stepping into a 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, even if they're not known to be 3-point shooters, they're going to hit them if they're wide open.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's another good episode. We got 2 games on tonight. I mean, there's a couple other there's college baseball World Series going on. I was watching a little bit of the Islanders last night, so U.S. Open finishing up today.
Yep.
But
great day in sports.
Yeah, great day in sports. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Yep. I hope all the fathers out there enjoy it. Our Father's Day gifts are these picks today.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone enjoys it. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube, follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter.
Yep. SportsBook Sports everywhere. SportsBook Talks on Twitter.
Yep. And definitely get out there. We'll be diving into more of those sports as Greg has mentioned in the future as the NBA starts to die down. That's just been our focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, look forward to the next episode and we'll talk to you guys then.
Sounds good. See you guys later.
See ya.